Good morning, everybody. Happy Eve of Shabbat. It's good to be with you guys again. And I just wanted to talk to you this morning about these. Now, this is called a Tzitzit. I know many of you have seen them on the corner of a tallit or a prayer shawl. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of background on the Tzitzit this morning. The Tzitzit is tied in a specific manner. A lot of times they can be tied a little bit differently. But this particular one that I have here, I have tied with basically the representation of the Hebrew letters, Yud He, Vav He, and the knots and the twists have a certain amount of revolutions to them, which form the numerical value of Yud He, Vav He. Now, I've tied this Tzitzit myself, but I wanted to talk to you this morning a little bit more about the meaning of the Tzitzit. The Tzitzit is a representation for the Jewish people of the Torah. And specifically, the Orthodox or Hasidic Jews tie their Tzitzit in a specific manner that actually indicates the 613 mitzvot or commands of the Lord that they observe. Now, they also observe a whole lot of takanot, which is things that the rabbis have added. And there are books and books and books of those. But Yeshua specifically spoke about takanot and how we are supposed to deal with that. But that's not my purpose this morning. I want to take you to this little story in the Bible about a Tzitzit. Okay? And that story includes Saul and David. And as you remember or may know, that Saul was chasing David down in the desert and in the wilderness and trying to end his life because he had been anointed to be king of Israel. Saul, the Lord had allowed evil spirits to come on Saul, and Saul really warred with that near the end of his life. So as the story goes, Saul is in a cave in a place called En-Gedi, which if you go to Israel, you can go there. I've been there. It's a beautiful place. And as you stand near where the waters come down out of these springs, you could look up and you see these caves, and you're kind of like, well, I wonder which cave Saul went into. But Saul went into the cave to relieve himself. And while he was in the cave, David was in the cave at the same time. And David come up behind him, and he cut off the corner of his robe. Well, what's significant about the corner of his robe? If Saul was a Torah observant Jew, which we pretty much know that he was, he would have had a tzitzit on the corner of his garment. Tzitzit is a representation of life, and so I believe that David did a prophetic act showing that Saul's life was going to be cut off, and that Saul had been cut off from the Lord. And so there's another story in the Bible also that has to do with a lady who has struggled with the issue of blood for so many years. 12 years, I believe, is what it said in Scripture. And she went up and she touched the Lord on the hem of his garment. Would it be Tzitzit? There's lots of things in the Jewish faith that have to do with tradition. There's commandments of the Lord, but there's also prophetic things in Scripture. And if we look at these through our Jewish kind of mindset, or in our Western mindset's a little different. And so sometimes we don't have the full picture. But I just wanted to share with you this morning about the Tzitzit. As we go into Shabbos, or Shabbat, as it's called, I hope that you find the rest of the Lord, that you come to peace, that His shalom would rest in your home, in your heart, and in your mind. And that over the next period of time, I'm going to start a small series called The Call to Shabbat. So have a blessed week. Look forward to being with you again. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Blessings.